All right, welcome everybody, and thank you for tuning in today. You are listening to WRUULP Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. This is the Adam Messer Show, and I'm your host, Adam Messer. And if you're just now tuning in, thank you very much for joining us today. We have some great special guests today, and if you like film, if you like movies, if you like any of that kind of stuff, this is going to be a great show for you today. So my special guests are Michelle Cornwell-Jordan and Erwin Chung. Welcome, y'all. Thank you for being on the show with us today.
Hi, thank you for having us.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Very excited.
Yeah, it's going to be a great show. And Sebastian, do you mind playing a little bit of live music for us? This is Sebastian Messer, everybody. Awesome, Bass. Thank you very much. Okay, so let me pull up the. Let me turn that off. Let me pull up. Oh gosh, where's that? I had it right here on my little phone. I was going to read the little introductions. Let's see here. Okay, so we'll start with Erwin. Erwin Chung is an actor, writer, director, and currently is based out of Dallas, Texas. He enjoys working and meeting with other creative people and collaborating in not only acting, but also dancing, art, music, comics, novels, and other entertainment. In his spare time, he also enjoys traveling and trying really good food. And his current project is working on a semi-anthology episodic project, The Rogues Gallery, that will begin filming in early December. Awesome. And then let me pull up Michelle. That's the lovely part about technology. I've got this all on my phone. Michelle Cornwell-Jordan is an author, screenwriter, director, and producer who enjoys writing speculative fiction and writing on socially conscious topics in unconventional ways while offering her stories through multiple media platforms. She has 14 new young adult published works and 2 short films and a web series and 2 other projects in production through her production company established in 2018. So yeah, that's pretty cool, y'all. I'm excited. I know Michelle, you've been on the show before when we were talking about When Androids Dream and Monstrum and Monstrumverse. And Erwin, you were like a big part of both of those productions, right?
Yeah, I was the main antagonist on Monstrum, and then I kind of reprised the role on When Androids Dream. So I'm very familiar with Michelle's work, and I was very excited to be part of both of those. And then this new one, Lover's Contract, also.
Yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, let's just dive in. What's going on? What's new with both y'all?
Well, like it was just mentioned, we just wrapped last weekend Lover's Contract. That's the newest project with 4CW Media Productions, which is my company. And Erwin was our director of photography, as well as, again, the antagonist. He's really great at those roles. we love having him, you know. And so he's playing Adam in the series. This is a contemporary, so it's a little bit outside my normal writing box. I tend to do more speculative fiction or paranormal, but this is more of like a romantic event. So it was fun writing. We had a great time, great cast. Oh my gosh, it was really wonderful. It was a great day up. There was a lot of hurdles we had to jump to get to filming, and as you both were saying earlier, one of the concerns were, okay, are we going to be able to film because of the whole situation with the pandemic and all of that? But were able to, and it was great. They did wonderful. The cast, they had never even practiced together in person. It was mainly virtual practices. They came. Brianna Jordan, she's been on your show as well. She directed. She's one of the actresses in it, but she was the director for it. And Mason Hughes was the cameraman, and it was really great. The actors, I fangirled the entire time. They did so well. So it was really fun. What's happening next is that is in post now, and 4CW Media is gearing back up. We're in pre-production. We're doing casting calls for another web series that is based on a local author. Her name is Frances Langley Patty, and it's directed. The screenplay was written by Nicole Prunday, who's also going to direct it. And we're going to film that next November. We love November for some reason. And so now we're going into production on that. And we still have in production, well, it's in post, an animation called Slasher, based on Arthur C.P. Bowlewis's the Slasher Experience novel. So we have several things going on at 4CW Media. And that's pretty much what's going on with us.
That's
Erwin,
awesome. How about you, Erwin?
Has his own production company, so I'm excited about what he's got going on. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I was just saying that's great. How about you, Erwin?
I really haven't had a chance to slow down. I'm working on my series, like you mentioned, on my production company, Next Edge Films, and jumped from Lover's Contract, and I'm kind of like advising on the post editing. Mason, who I brought in to actually run the camera ops, he's actually editing Lover's Contract. So we're filming in December 4th. We're starting to film, so we're kind of gearing up even through the Thanksgiving holidays for that. So that's my big thing is we're starting to film, go into production for that. And also, Michelle had mentioned about her project, Laney, and she asked me to look into it. So we're kind of still talking about that, right, Michelle? So she kind of liked our camera work, I would say. And so I'm reading that script right now and thinking about that. So those are my main two projects coming up. And then just I have a lot of stuff going on actually. So there's like music and other stuff that I'm kind of dabbling into. But that's mostly what I'm focusing on right now. It's getting into production.
That's so exciting. Yeah, that's so exciting. My friend.
Let me get a.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I just want a disclaimer from Michelle, because I've always played these antagonists, but I'm really not that bad of a person in real life. So I just want to make that clear.
Well, you did a really good job playing the bad guy. Yeah, I want to go more into that too, because like I don't know if what form of martial arts you used, but like you're very, your presence on the screen comes across really well. And
thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
I actually watched both of the series, and I read the little novella went with it too.
Right.
And but yeah, I wanted to share some. We were talking like right before we got on the air, but my friend Josh Vasquez and I, we're doing this production company called Dead Pixel Pictures, and we're making like these little movie shorts. And so we have our first couple of them out. The first one is The Devil in the Details, which is you ever see these book trailers that for like a book coming out or whatever? They're usually kind of like a still frame or something like that, and maybe a little bit of animation or whatever for the book. Well, I talked to Josh and I was like, I'd like to do a book trailer, but I don't want it to be a book trailer. I want it to be like a little movie short. And so the next day he sent me like a little script, and it was based off of the same premise of the anthology that we just put out. And we did it. It was awesome. We We formed Dead Pixel Pictures as our little production company, and we have our second little short coming out this week. It's called Oh No Zombies, and it's kind of like a little horror movie, kind of like a little wink and a nod to horror comedy type stuff. So pretty excited about that, and I love it. I mean, like it's so fun doing filming and working on it, and all the different parts that go into it. So I can see why y'all love it so much. Before I've only done like set photography, and set photography is fun sometimes, but it's a lot more fun when you're directing or if you're acting or whatever. In my opinion, I like set photography, and I did it, but I enjoy more working with people and trying to like for example, we had one scene where the guy was doing his lines and it sounded good, but he just had like a different feel than what we wanted. And so I was like, hey, we don't want you being confrontational. We just want you to be more like, kind of like, I'm not really sure that I'm okay with this, And the guy, changed up, and boom, it was like perfect for the scene. So it's exciting. I'm really liking it a lot, and like I said, I can see how y'all can, love wanting to do it, and then wanting to stay busy with it. So it's almost like you're like, what's the next project? Like we've already been mapping out like the next 2 or 3 things that we want to do. And is it like that for y'all too? It's like
Absolutely. I think that's a commonality with whatever artist you're in, whether you're in music or film. You always want to like create, and whether you're into sci-fi or fantasy or horror. I kind of like all those. I actually like a lot of those genres. But I think artists just have a need to get into the next project or the next character they're gonna play.
Oh yeah, I love it. It's like you finish something, and like I'll give you an example. I had a short story percolate in my head yesterday, and I wrote like the first 300 words of it, and I'm like, but I have other stories I have to finish. And I'm still, the weird thing about it, like with writing, writing a screenplay, the formatting part, I'm learning how to do that. And, so yeah, it's a learning curve, but it is like you get that bug and it just bites you and you're like, oh man, I want to do this. I want to, is this something? And Michelle, we took, the thing is like, we talked and you were like, you look at like when you're writing, you look at how you can, write your screenplay for, your budget and that kind of thing and what you can do. And we've been using that motto, well, how can we do this? Where can we start? How can we get this, story across without, spending a ton of money?
Right.
And,
I'm
yeah. Yeah.
And I think I do it a little different. I mean, I'm not going to say different. Well, everyone writes differently, but I always have like a concept or a thought, but I actually need the characters first or the actors first, or if I'm writing a novel, I'll get images of the person first. I know that sounds a little bit strange because typically, I've heard more people, that I talk to, writers, they will have the character in mind. This is the way this character is. And so then they will cast, and that actor will go and be that way. I don't know. I have been really lucky and blessed to work with, and I started working with such a great group at the beginning that I've learned to collaborate a little bit more. So I have kind of a concept of, okay, Adam's going to be this way.
Mm-hmm.
He's the antagonist. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. So it's kind of like when I'm writing, I have a general idea, but we've already casted, Erwin. So it's almost, I get to know the actor or I get to know the person, and then honestly, I steal kind of some of their attributes and put it into the character. So when not that Erwin's awesome. He's not like Adam, but when I'm saying that some of the characteristics that I would see. And so what happens is when the actors are doing it, they just own it. You know, they morph that character into, and sometimes ways I just didn't even imagine because, again, I do a general idea.
Mm-hmm.
And then they'll take it and they'll say, oh, okay, this is where you're going with it. And then what they'll bring is like, I'm shocked. So, I mean, I wrote novels for years. And but it was when I started working with cast, the actors, that it took it to a new level for me. So actually, it is a little bit tough to go back to just novel writing because I love that interaction. Because I can never be an actor. I'm going to be honest. I prefer being behind the scenes, behind the camera. Well, not behind, well, you know, like just in the background. But their talent, they're so talented. They can just become these people. Erwin is incredible. You can just give him a character, and he becomes that person.
Nice.
I mean, literally, just change. It's like you're talking to someone different. And so I have a real respect gained for actors and for those that I've worked with, Erwin as an actor and as a creator.
Yeah. Hold that thought for just a second.
I knew
I got to
one
do the
way,
station
and
ID
then
real quick. Hold that thought for just a second, Michelle. I got to do the station
Okay.
ID. Everybody, thank you for tuning in today. You're listening to the Adam Messer Show here on WRUU-LP Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings Community Radio with Global Soul. Yeah, Michelle, I'd like to say as well, I really feel like, Erwin, that you did a great job with your acting. And then I love action too. So can we talk a little bit about that? Because you know in the show you guys had fight scenes and you know there was a lot of drama and there was also like you know some animosity and yeah, there's a lot of animosity and stuff like that, and there's a lot of like action build up. How do you get into that? How do you get into that role? And then you become that character. I mean, what method do you like to use to do that?
Well, I'm kind of on the opposite spectrum of Michelle. I'm an actor first, and then a creator and writer first. So I really enjoy being in front of the camera. So when I look at a character, whether it's the protagonist, antagonist, I don't really play him as good or bad. I just play him like in real life how I would be that way, or why we would pick the choices we pick, even as antagonists, because I don't think anyone really considers themselves good or bad, right?
Right.
And as far as action goes, it's kind of a whole nother set of acting skills. So if I were to get into an action role, I would probably have to gear up because I'm a little bit up there in age also, but I would have to like gear up and work out a little bit more. And depending what it is, whether it's it's a boxer or a street fighter, I would research it and watch videos of how people would train and kind of try to mimic it, so I could actually, bring that to life on the screen rather than just to act like it. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
definitely. Just doing it safely and where nobody actually gets hurt. I remember one time I was watching an interview with Jean-Claude Van Damme, and he was talking about that first of all, it's like, being safe, and that nobody gets hurt, because you want it to look like people got beat up, but you don't really want them to get beat up in real life. So that's the whole part of acting. It's like we're pretending.
Yeah.
So
well, I think he was originally casted, if I remember correctly, as the Predator in one of the '80s movie with Schwarzenegger.
I think so. Yeah.
He was supposed to play the alien, but he bowed out of it, especially when he had that jump. In that scene, and I think that I read the actor that replaced him did that jump because he said, "I'm not doing that. I'm gonna break my leg." The guy that actually did it broke his leg.
Oh wow!
So, yeah. So that's safety. I think that was Predator. I remember reading about that and about Van Damme. So safety, yeah, kind of a fine line. You know, you want to bring it as close to reality as you want, but then you also don't want to hurt yourself, right?
Right. I like as a kid I used to watch a lot of I guess there was a lot of action comedies and stuff like that, like those 80s style action movies or whatever. But now I like mostly like comedy stuff. I like horror comedy. I like action comedies. I like just straight up comedy. Like I'll watch comedy skits and stuff like that. And it's all, it kind of, to me, everything goes back to the storytelling. Whether you're behind the scenes or you're in front of the camera, it doesn't really matter. It's all, it's like you're working together as a team to bring this story to life. You got the script, and then you got all this other stuff that goes into the production of it. And I think that's the amazing part, like the magic of it is like all these different working parts and moving parts, into this machine that puts out a story. And it's all the people, like the way that they portray the character, or like you said, Michelle, bringing their own personality traits into that character that you're playing off of their strengths already. I think it's so cool.
Yes, but that's something that I actually had to learn from the actors, because coming from writing prose, the novels, I controlled everything. And so, my early projects, it was difficult having so many different hands and minds in the situation. And so I learned to trust I never forget, I sat in a workshop, and it was a screenwriting workshop, and that was one of the things that the instructor said: you have to trust your actors. You just have to. You cannot just micromanage every little action, because if they really care about the project, and if for them to accept it, typically they do, they will bring what you need. And I found that actors really want to make your vision happen. And I think that is just, I have so much respect. I've been fangirling since last week.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
It's just because they're so talented. I've worked with some talented people.
It's what it reminds me of too is like when you go to a live concert. I mean, I love music too, Erwin, and Michelle. I just do. But you go to a live concert and you get that, like you feel it. You can feel the chicken skin or whatever they call it. What is that? When your skin kind of pricks up a little bit like that. Oh,
right.
Huh? Goosebumps. You get the goosebumps.
But I know the feeling.
Yeah, the little goosebumps. You get that goosebump feeling, like you're like, oh, it's just it's so magical. And then when you're watching people, acting, either like, well, on film, somebody had to do it live, originally. But you see them in person and you see how they're doing the role, or, like how they're, they want to, whatever. I just feel like it's so cool. And then when you see the whole thing come together, you're like, wow, yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, I think if you're not fascinated by your own work, I mean, like, how can anybody else, like it? You know what I mean?
No. They make it so much better. I mean,
yeah.
I'm going to be honest. I like these scripts, and I'm like, oh, sometimes because you're your worst critic. I'm like, oh, but then when they act it out and they bring their own twist to it, you're like, wow, could they make it so cool? So I'm like, I don't know if I can go back to just book writing, because I need the actors to make it cooler. But no, but I understand. Yeah, you just, sometimes magic just happens. You just feel like that is. And then I learned that there are different aspects. Cinematography, when they add their own twist to it. All of this was new to me, and I'm still learning it. So I saw some clips from Lover's Contract that Erwin and Mason had sent, and they did, and the things that they did was just lighting. I know that. I mean, just the feel. It's just incredible. I think you're right, Adam. Just how everyone brings those gifts into it. You just don't realize when you're sitting down to a movie or looking at a show how much work went into that.
Oh yeah. Even like with our,
even with
our little production, we had 9 zombies, and we had 2 main actors playing, the speaking roles, and then of course Josh and I, and so right there, what that's 11 people. Well, one of the zombies is one of the actors, so that's 10, 11, 12. So there were 12 people involved in like this one little minute and a half movie short. And it's incredible, I think. What do you think, Erwin?
I mean, having a cast, and that happened in When Androids Dream, having a big cast, just coordinating the actors and everything is complicated enough. And then you have all the staff to work that out also. And, it's just amazing. You have all that just to get like, a 60-second shot.
Yeah.
And so I'm always amazed at, like the different levels of talent and, artistic style, because mine and Mason's are kind of similar, but we're still different. And I think you'll see the camera work is and what we plotted out, because we kind of had to like rush it a little bit, which I wish we had. We wish we had more days, but that costs more money and time.
Oh yeah.
But
yeah.
yeah, and it'll be a little bit different than what you saw on Monstrum or When Androids Dream, because each cinematographer and camera operator have, their kind of
their view,
like views, and their views, and their like. I put in a lot of Dutch angles, just because I kind of like it a lot, and I was kind of sharing my experience and knowledge with Michelle, so she can even bring that up in her next project, how she would view stuff. And I kind of learned a lot from Michelle also, because she's done more producing and, coordinating with staff and talent. But I think it's just amazing how, like, the final product comes together. And then, the editing is a whole nother ball game itself.
That's a very interesting point. Let's do the station break. I know it's going to be a few minutes early, but I want to talk about, like how we all kind of got into writing and acting and directing and that kind of stuff after the break.
Okay.
Is made possible by listeners like you and Brighter Day Natural Foods. Brighter Day is celebrating its 40th year serving the Savannah community with produce, vitamins, and supplements, and a deli and juice bar. Brighter Day is located at 1102 Bull Street at the south end of Forsyth Park. More information available at 912-236-4703 or brighterdayfoods.com.
WRUULP Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings Community Radio with Global Soul.
What does it mean when we say that WRUU is a community radio station? It doesn't just mean that we invite the community to create programming, and it doesn't just mean that we are a voice for the community. It also means that we are counting on the community to keep us going, and you are the community. Almost all of our modest budget comes from small annual or monthly donations from listeners like you. You get to enjoy our community-focused programming because many others have stepped forward to do their part. Now do your part by joining our community of listener donors. Go to WRUU.org right now and make a one-time or monthly donation, and thank you for supporting Savannah's community radio station, 107.5 FM.
All right. And everybody, thank you so much for supporting our community radio station here. We are all volunteers. I'm a volunteer going into my 3rd year of doing this radio show where I get to talk with awesome guests like Michelle and Erwin. And that's only done because you, as the listener, support the station. We couldn't pay the bills here if y'all didn't do your part and help us out with supporting the station with your monetary donations. So, and personally, I really enjoy doing the radio show. I love talking with creative people, and I enjoy being able to bring that these interviews to our audience. And so, if you're listening, thank you very much. And if you're just now tuning in, today I'm talking with Michelle Cornwell-Jordan and Erwin Chung, who are both filmmakers. And so we're talking shop. We're talking about making films and talking about new stuff. So yeah, I'm really excited to have y'all here. And I want to ask you, like, how did you get the bug for acting and filmmaking and, you know, production and all that? Like, what was your, like, you know, first, I guess, inkling that you're like, oh yeah, this is what I want to do?
I'll let Erwin cut first.
Well, I was doing my 9 to 5, and I thought, and I've always been like artistic, but I can draw and everything. And I'm originally from New York, so I grew up in Brooklyn, and I've always.
Oh, can I interject real quick too, Erwin?
Sure.
Do you have a special person in your life that you would like to give a special announcement about today? A little birthday thing?
My mom's birthday was yesterday.
Yeah, happy birthday, Mom.
Happy birthday, Mom.
Yeah.
I thought that was so cool. I was like, you know, this is such a neat thing. I hope she's listening, or she can listen later on, but maybe that'd be a neat little surprise for her.
Yeah, I'll definitely let her know. But I appreciate that, Adam. But yeah, I've always like pretended and you know, acted. And growing up in New York in the 80s, it kind of spoiled me because our class trips always took us to Broadway plays back in the day.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, so like along with movies and Broadway plays, I was into it. I didn't really go for it after college, you know, just you get some advice from parents and you know, they rather you have a 9 to 5 job, but it didn't last long for me. Like after I graduated, I immediately I got a job down here, and then I got into acting. Took a couple of classes at UTA, and then I had a coach here, Nancy Chartier, who's been in several TV shows and everything, and that's how I originally got into it. And then I got an agent in Dallas, and I've just been acting ever since. And after a while, I kind of wanted to kind of create and produce my own content, and that's how I got into film production and making my own shorts and movies. Especially now, since the cameras and everything are more, I won't say affordable, but it's a lot easier than when you had to use any kind of mini DV tapes and try to transcribe it to a computer.
Oh yeah, I mean, like honestly, you can do a lot of things with the phone now. Like you could make a whole film if you wanted to using, you know, your smartphone now. It's not going to be necessarily, you know, the same quality, but I have seen some amazing stuff from people making films on their phones. I mean, I'm just blown away.
I think there was a movie a couple years ago, not even the new iPhone. They filmed everything on the iPhone, and then they just kind of did some post-edit magic, and that's how they filmed it.
Yeah. Yeah. Kevin Smith, I think he's the guy that wrote Mallrats and all those other ones, right? Dogma and all that. Is his name Smith? Kevin Smith? I think it's Smith. Anyway, I know his first name's Kevin, and I could see his face in but he was talking about, like, you know, like that with, you know, you have all the tools like on your phone, and you know, social media, it's so crazy. I mean, I see all these folks doing little skits, or they do like these little you know, whatever, and you know, anybody that's out there, and I'm definitely not an expert, okay, so just take this with a grain of salt, but anybody out there that, like, you want to act and you don't really have any connections, or you don't have this or you don't have that, you got a phone, make your own reel, like, put it out there on the internet. I mean, like, people are blowing up. I mean, like, literally blowing up, you know, just using social media and stuff like that. And if you like to act, I mean, get involved with your local theater. I mean, right now it's an odd year. Yes, we know that, but get involved with your local theater. You know, get involved in, like, you know, like in Savannah, we have like a bunch of like local actor groups, Facebook groups and stuff like that. and people are always posting like, casting calls, and it's not a lot of it. There's a lot of stuff that's like not paid work, but there's also paid work. I mean, it just depends on what the job is, I guess. But
Right.
I'm kind of like you. I was a comic book nerd growing up. I used to love to draw and read comics and stuff like that. And yeah, and I feel that about the 9 to 5 gig, because when I was a kid, like I remember in first grade or something like that, I was in a play, and I loved being up on stage. I loved, doing the little performances or whatever. But then as I grew up, like middle school and high school and stuff like that, I kept my art stuff to myself. I didn't really share it with people, and I was like, oh, the art's never going to pay, for, me to live. And I can't be I'm not going to be a starving artist. So I started getting into like business and management, and, I went to school, got my undergrad in business, did my master's in business administration, and it was it's a weird story, but not to make it a long story here, but I never shared any of my art publicly. And a friend of mine named Camilla, oh my gosh, I'm having like a hard time with last names today. Oh my God. Camilla Flynn. Yes, Camilla Flynn. She and I, we work together. She's a really good friend of mine. She's a very sweet lady. She's got a beautiful voice. Like a very talented singer. She put together this art show. It was a spoken word poetry show called Explicit Lips. And it was at this place we had that is no longer open, but it was called Muse Warehouse, Muse Art Warehouse, and it was like a little theater production thing or whatever, and people could put on their own shows and stuff like that. Well, anyway, the idea was she had a live jazz band on the right hand side of the stage playing, and then she had a group of poets that did spoken word poetry on the center stage, and then to their left was me. And what I was doing, I was creating paintings or art. What I used was Conte crayon, and I used some sepia tone paper, and I put it on this big clipboard, and I put it on an art easel, and I was creating these little paintings as they were doing their poetry, and this jazz band's playing, and it was an amazing show. I mean, like an amazing show. I had never shared my art publicly before. I actually sold one of the paintings that night. I donated the other 12 paintings to it was for the Rape Crisis Center, was the charity that we were doing. But the reason why I wanted to sell it was because I'd never done it publicly before, and I didn't. I just wanted. I was like, it was just kind of like one of those like benchmarks for me. I was like, okay, I'm gonna sell a painting. I'm gonna, just do it, just to do it, and then I donated the rest of them, and it was crazy because I met my friend Corey Brooks there. He did photography. He did the event photography, and he and I just struck it off. We hit it off, and we became friends. I told him how I liked photography. Like next thing I know, I'm talking to him about like wanting to do photography for Spotted, which is Savannah Morning News. So it used to be like their event photography thing, and
Wow.
I started doing photography in 2014, and like that was kind of like the opening of my public art stuff, and I loved
Wow.
it. Yeah, but I was always like, and I still have to work a 9 to 5 gig, but if I were
Right.
able, if I had my druthers and I could do what I wanted, and I was able to be self-sustaining and be able to support my family, I would do my art. I would do
Right.
my art in a heartbeat. I would not even hesitate. I can work like on my art or like publishing or whatever. I call it all art, like writing, photography, whatever it is that I'm doing that's creative. I just call it art. I would work on my art. I can work on my art for 20 hours in a day and not feel tired.
Right.
And
Right.
it's just that magic of just the love of it, And I mean, it's not always fun and games. I mean, there's a lot of times like for example, you have like I misspelled the word cheek, and it was misspelled as check, and it made it through like a dozen or so checks. And a reader told me yesterday, like, well, I'm sure you meant to say that she kissed him on the cheek, not check, right? And I was like, Yes. And then I had to go back and, update the book and update the edits. And I was like, oh my gosh. But, there's a lot of work to it. But oh my gosh, I just love it. I mean, I feel so energized, especially talking with other creative people like y'all. I mean, I just feel so like it just fills my soul up,
I totally can relate to that. I think a lot of people can too. So I'm hoping, our viewers or listeners, I don't think it's ever too late to like go for it, because you don't want to go through, just doing. I mean, 9 to 5 and college degree and everything. That's, I'm not knocking that. If that's what you want to do, that's important too, because it works. Like Adam, I think you and I, we work both sides of our brain, our right and left.
Yeah.
But our autistic brain kind of like, well, we want to kind of do this, and I think the listeners that are kind of like on the fence, especially now when you're sheltered at home, and I don't know if everybody is, but you have more freedom at home. I'm not saying like don't do your 9 to 5, because like you, I didn't want to be a starving artist. I did not want to be sleeping on the floor.
Right.
I did not want to be.
I was starving and I wasn't an artist at the time. I had to work my way out of that.
Yeah. And that's me too. I graduated from like college and came down here, and even when I was in trouble, I would not ask my parents, because it's just not how I was raised. And for me, I got a little pride. I don't want to go back and ask my parents for money, even though I was like laid off and everything. So I feel that pain too, but there's always that itch, and you don't want to go through a life not taking a chance, because you never know what might happen.
Oh yeah. You know what's really crazy to me? I mean, I don't know if it's just my brain or not, or the way I'm thinking, but I am always so grateful for anybody who likes my art, or that they appreciate, some work that I've done. And, I give away so much stuff for free anyway. And it blows me away. Like, I am just so honored when somebody's like, you know what, I bought your book. Like, a friend of mine the other day told me they bought the book. And I was like, oh my gosh, really? Thank you. And I mean, I don't know if it's just, it's so crazy, but it, to me, it's like, wow, that in a way, it's not even about the money, because you don't make a lot of money off the royalties anyway, unless you have like a high volume, right? But to me, it's more like, wow, they thought enough of this to, to actually buy it. And it, that it also kind of tells me like, okay, well, the quality of it is good enough for somebody to, want to use their money for it. And I like it when a stranger that I don't know lets me know that they like it too, because it's like, well, that's cool, because, people that are going to be, more inclined to be friendly about it. But when a stranger tells you like they love your art or they love whatever, you're like, really? Okay. I don't know you. And,
yeah, it's always appreciated. You, I kind of read through your bio when I was coming on the show. I think you said your new book, was that Devil's Due?
Yeah, The Devil's Due. That's our anthology that we just put out at Halloween, and it's been having some pretty good reviews so far. It's been a lot of fun, and we stayed in the top hot sellers, Amazon's top 100 hot sellers for every day since it's been out. We haven't been in the bestsellers list yet, but we've been doing pretty good. We've been holding our own. I'm pretty excited about it.
Is that one of your favorite genres, like the fantasy? I don't know if it's horror or not.
Yeah, it's a horror. It's set on the premise of a deal gone wrong with the devil, and the devil comes back to collect. No happy endings, and it has to have like each story has its own unique little twist. So it has like kind of like a little surprise at the end. There was one reader named Rob that left a review saying like it was kind of left him with a roller coaster of emotions, because each story, some were scary, some were like, oh my gosh, and there's no moralistic, like a lot of fairy tales and stuff like that have like some kind of moral. No, this is just straight up horror. We're not trying to teach any lessons here at all. I'm gonna Bass. I got to do the station ID real quick. Bass, you want to play in some more for us? All right. So everybody, you listen today to WRUU LP Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings Community Radio with Global Soul, and this is Sebastian Messer playing a little bit of live music. That was really nice, Bass. I don't know if y'all can hear it on the phone or not. I know a guest last week they said that they couldn't really hear it through the aux port there. I'm sorry, but you get to hear it on the playback. Yeah, he plays live, and we got a listener call in, text message here, and it says that they're Darlene and Terry. They've got a big Scrabble tournament going on, and they're listening to the show and enjoying the show. And they said that they love Sebastian's soft acoustic music.
Oh, how cool!
Yeah, so yeah, Terry and Darlene are like awesome. They listen in live all the time, and they're just wonderful people. Just really good, down to the earth, salt of the earth type people. So
very nice.
But yeah, I that's my little origin story. So Michelle, we haven't heard yours yet with the creating.
Well, mine started, I've always wanted to be a writer. Even when I was a little girl, I would, make up stories in my head, make up little scenarios in my head. I would I would write little short skits for some of the neighborhood kids, and I would always coordinate them to play out the skits. And in my teens, I'm an 80s kid, but I loved the movies from the 30s and the 40s, Cat on a Hot Tin Roof and Streetcar Named Desire and any Alfred Hitchcock. I love classic movies and black and white movies. And I was always daydreaming. In fact, I always got in trouble for daydreaming at home, at school. So that's always what I wanted to do. But I didn't really follow my dreams. So I like what Erwin said about following it, because I lost about 20 years. I went another way, and I did, start working and doing things like that. And but I've always wanted to write, and I would try here and there over that 20-something years, but I wouldn't, it wouldn't work, or I wouldn't stick with it. And then finally, I believe it was 2011, I was 37 or 30, and I said, something like that, in my late 30s, and I was like, okay, if you're gonna do it, you gotta start now. So, and I knew, and there were always opportunities for me that was presented to me, but I would never take them. Different things. I did when I was a kid. Like, I wrote all the time, like I said, for the kids, or I would write love notes for people. I would sell the love notes. I would have people in school. They had crushes or whatever, so they would pay me.
That's a neat little take on something. Yeah, I've never heard of that one before. That's cool. Your little side hustle was a love note writing. That's so cool.
Yeah, I did.
How much did you charge those kids? Like $5, $10 a note, or what?
No,
$1?
It was like $1. But it was a lot. I was little.
Yeah.
But it worked, right?
It was 2011. I got serious, and
you're like, dear Johnny, I love you. Let's meet at the playground.
No. I put some effort into that. I would do my research. What did Johnny like?
Dear Johnny, I know that you like the PlayStation 2 Spider-Man 3 game.
We didn't have that back then.
I know.
Michelle, next time I go on a date, I'm going to ask you to write.
There you go.
I
I got you.
That's
I'm
awesome.
gonna write that for you. So
You should do like a totally thing.
2011, and I started.
Michelle.
I connected to the writing.
Hey, Michelle, you should.
I started writing novels, and then after that, I just kind of fell into. I was a part of a writing group, and we had a filmmaker in that group, Sammy, and he was talking about his films, and it just not mine. I was like, okay, because I remembered I wrote plays, and I used to do things like that. And my job, I worked with teens. I worked at after school programs, and I worked at youth programs. That was mainly what I did. And I worked with teenagers, and I'm going to let you know it is hard to keep teenagers and preteens' attention. So what I would need to, if they had to be somewhere after school, it was like programs to keep them from getting in trouble, if they went home or did things. So I would work with these kids, and I was like, okay, they weren't little. You couldn't just give them, they would get bored. So I would start writing productions and plays for them to start putting on. And so that's what I started doing with my job. And they were really getting into it, and these kids were just dynamic. And so it was always my desire, and I'm still going to do it one day. I want to produce or have like a troupe, and I want to go into, more areas that may not have access to, or the finances to, or the ability to, or don't know that they can connect to a writing group or a community theater. And maybe I would love to take some actors in to go in and maybe put on some workshops for these kids, and maybe do some troops or whatever. Cause that's what I did for years, like for 10 years. And then after that, like I said, I did my novels, and then I just said, you know what, I'm going to try this whole independent filmmaking thing, because I was already indie publishing my book, and I wrote Alliance. It's still stuck in editor's Hades. It's a mess. It'll take like $2,000 to get that thing edited, and then I did Quadruple, and then up to today. So that's kind of how I started. I've always had a love affair with writing and creating, and getting people together. I like the behind the scenes thing. It's hard. Oh my God, you've got so many times you're thinking everything's going to fall apart, but I enjoy that kind of rush and getting it all together, and then on that day, then it all hopefully runs smoothly for when the talent comes in, and then they do their thing. So I enjoy that part.
I was gonna say that should be like one of those movies that you write, about a little girl that writes and hustles little love notes. That'd be such a neat little rom-com type thing. Yeah, that'd be so cool.
Okay, so y'all inbox me if anybody needs love letters.
Yeah.
All right.
That's so cool. That would be. I think that would work too. I mean, like, but it'd have to be set in like the 80s or something like that. Because today it'd be like, I sent a text message. It's not the same as like a note, or a letter.
No, we used to do the little, or do you like them, or that little thing. Well, I don't know about the boys. I don't know about guys, but I know the girls. We did the little pull-up thing. I can't remember. I'm sorry what they call it. This is where you're going to be in 10 years, or do you like me, or all that kind of stuff. I was the queen of creating those materials.
Yeah, I remember like when I was a kid in the 80s, like we would just say, you want to go with me? And that'd be like, if you want to be, you want to go with me?
Yeah.
And I remember like I was in third grade, and this girl stood up. She goes, Adam, you want to go with me? And we were in class, and I was like, yeah. And that was it. And then
and then you never talk to that person again. I swear, I remember like 6th grade or 5th grade, you'll have a boyfriend, and you never spoke with them again. But oh no, we're dating. It's funny.
Johnny's my boyfriend. Right.
I mean, that's interesting. It's just the communication now is so much different than when we were in the 80s. Because, like, Michelle knows when we have to talk, I say, I'm going to give you a phone call. And
same here.
Some of the younger generation, all they do is text. Like, I can't even get them on the phone. Like, I'll call them and they won't pick up, and I text them and they text them right back. But, like, I guess we're 80s kids.
I'd rather talk with you or face to face. Yeah, I'd rather.
Yeah, I literally pick up the phone and call Michelle, and we start talking about Lover's Contract and other stuff.
You can get so much more done.
I tend to like emails or text better because I can think about what I'm going to say. I think I just got in that habit, but I'm not averse to, I can talk on the phone. You're right. I didn't get my daughter to get on the phone.
Michelle has this thing of like, she's so professional and so kind and nice. She, sometimes she'll have like 2 words that she thinks she's offending me, and she'll delete the whole thing. Before I even read the note, I was like, Michelle, you're not offending me.
I saw that unsent message, Michelle, that you did the other day for me too. I was like, oh my gosh, like it's never offensive. It's never ever like it's never rude or offensive. And you're like, it's happened to me too, Erwin. I'm like, Michelle. No, I mean, like, no, it's all good. She's like, oh,
I do.
But I can understand, being tenderhearted.
You need to stop apologizing. You're not
That's
saying
a bad habit of mine.
So, all right. So we're going to take a little break, and then we're going to come back at 4:00 with Michelle and Erwin, y'all. You're listening today to the Adam Messer Show here on WRUU LP Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. And Michelle, there's nothing wrong with being tenderhearted, but yeah, you do need to stop apologizing. So don't be so worried. All right.
I'm gonna try. Sorry. No.
See, there you go. Oh gosh. Oh my gosh, it's too funny. All right, so we're gonna be back at 4, y'all.